Let me just finish up with some of these headlines. If you just joined us, male and female brains wired differently, scans reveal. But if you say that men and women are different, that's sexist. Well, I mean, I can't have a baby, can I? It's just ridiculous. It's social engineering, folks, to put women in frontline combat. Islamicist rebels seize part of ancient Syrian Christian town, take nuns captive. RT's reporting that. And there's just all sorts of al-Qaeda taking over the Middle East. I've got a big stack of news on that front today. Also, the Financial Times is reporting what we were telling you yesterday. This rollout by Jeff Bezos of Amazon, saying they're going to have thousands of drones per city delivering everything. This is involved with the government to condition everyone, and these drones will actually make a lot of their money off of human intelligence to send back video to humans watching it and to face scan and to read license plates. So, and members of Congress are now announcing that. This is just the full onslaught of, we're going to launch thousands of drones per city. Oh, cute, the drone came and dropped something off at the party. And this is just setting the precedent where these corporations with their robot cars and robot 18-wheelers and robot larger delivery systems will be able to basically take over the world because they're much cheaper than humans now. And folks are like, well, that's just progress. No, we need to decide our development. That is one of the most basic human traits, is that we can decide our own environment and try to build our own future, unlike animals. Like, that's probably the greatest human trait, that and empathy. And we're allowing other small groups of humans through government and regulations and through creating monopolies like Amazon and Walmart have done with all sorts of really, in my view, criminal actions. Amazon's almost bankrupted the major publishing industries out there, even for small publishers, because they won't let you sell your product there unless you give it to them about 65, 70% off. And by the time you do that, they then lower the price. Let's say the book should be $20, big hardbound, expensive book. You need to sell tens of thousands to even make your money back. They will sell it for $9. And guess what? You sold it to them for $8 or $7. And so you make a couple dollars because of the cost of the book and the promotion and all of it. And then they get the book and they make a couple dollars. And so it's not even free market because they become the market and then freeze everyone out and operate at a level meant to shut down their competition. So there you go. I remember the FAA came out 3 years ago and said, we're going to authorize 30,000 drones in the skies for deliveries and surveillance and everything else by 2020. And half of those will be in the air by 2015. And that was like 2011. And I was only reading what the FAA put out, and Kurt Nimmo and Watson wrote articles, and DrudgeReport.com picked it up. And then so people were upset about it, and Congress started having hearings. So they just came out in the news and said I was a liar. There were no drones. No drones. None. And we're like, well, wait, we have the FAA. We have Wired Magazine admitting they're using predators on, people that are growing crops they're not supposed to, or building barns they're not supposed to, or they claim stealing neighbors' cows. And they're like, shut up, liar. Shut up, deeply racist. I'm like, I'm for unity and humans coming together. Shut up, racist. And then behind the scenes, these MSNBC people, I've had them physically attack me in Colorado with a knife, cut the cord on my megaphone to violate my free speech because the Denver police wouldn't arrest me and violate the First Amendment to their credit. Got to hand that to the Denver police. For 2 hours, they told them, shut me down with my bullhorn. They said, nope, First Amendment. As long as he doesn't block traffic with his crowd. So they sent over like a 6.5 foot, 7 foot guy, he was just giant, to grab and cut the wire. So we had our own giant guy there and hoisted folks up on his back, and I went and got another bullhorn, and we bullhorned the crowd. We went to Radio Shack and bought one. Will you guys type in MSNBC attacks Alex Jones? I think that's the headline on YouTube. You can actually see the guy do it. But the point here is, I don't even know why I went off into that story, is that they're afraid of people power. And they're just rolling all of this out. Amazon drones, 9 ways it could go horribly wrong. And then they go over the 9 ways. Packages fall from the sky. hacking, theft, the weather, friendly fire, lost bearings, airspace restrictions, diversions, making cars wreck. Yeah. How about face scanning you as they're already doing and surveilling you and using it to stalk people and on and on and on and on and on and on. And again, Amazon is a globalist front company. That's even come out in the news. I was the first to tell you. Not bragging. They don't allow these big companies to get that big and operate, folks, unless they're part of the club. Hong Kong confirms first case of H7N9 bird flu. That's not good news. Yeah, they're going to claim down the road everything they've set up is for bio attack. There'll be other stuff they do, but they may just go right to a weapon that kills almost everybody. Or they could release something. I think they like to test things, so they'll release something that only kills, 10 million people first, I would guess. And then they'll use that as a medical tyranny to put in control. And then they'll release something that kills 1 billion people. And then they'll test the response to that. And then they'll release something that kills everyone, 100% of people that come in contact with it. But then it will be a mutagen designed to then mutate into a non-lethal pathogen within 1 year. That will be the attack pattern prime projection analysis from all of the enemy transmissions and reverse engineered preparations. So they've got it in test tubes right now to wipe everybody out. And listen, what matters is you get your heart right with God. If they do go ahead with that, if we're not able to stop them, just remember as you're dying with your family that the system did it to you, and just get right with God. Don't worship the government and the system and the beast worldwide system as you're dying. Don't call 911. They're not going to help you. They're all going to be dying too. All right, there you go. I know it's hardcore. It's reality. And you'll laugh now. You probably won't laugh later. I mean, I hope we can stop it and people can say, oh, he said this was going to happen. All the preparations are for that. And so you just need to know that's in the cards. And they could do it tomorrow. They could do it 10 years from now. But they are prepared. COG is for them to go underground and survive it while everyone's wiped out. There'll be a nostalgia for those that, it's a RAND Corporation plan, actually. There'll be a nostalgia for those left behind that died. They'll be given a false story. Everyone's already been tested for government connections, corporate connections, genetic connections. They have the Adam and Eve list of eugenic prime types that they're going to, it's really people they want to have sex with, that are going to be brought into the underground bases and all the rest of it. It's just totally Dr. Strangelove. And I hope you all enjoy it. That's all I can say. I mean, believe me, all the dumb NFL players, they're going to be up top. And believe me, Kim Kardashian isn't getting a ticket in. That's the first person the New World Order wants dead, is people like that. They absolutely abhor anything they sell you. They don't want you to like anything good. That might uplift your soul. They want your soul. To get your soul, it's got to be dumbed down. They traffic in the souls of men. What passage is that in Revelation? Babylon, Babylon the Great is fallen in 1 hour. The merchants from their ships beat their breast and poured ashes on their head, for it had all fallen in 1 hour. They were wicked. They trafficked in everything on earth, bought and sold humanity as chattel. They even trafficked in the souls of men. Fallen, fallen, you found it. Revelation 18. After this, I saw another angel coming down from heaven. He had great authority, and the earth was illuminated by his splendor. The Illuminati is a counterfeit of the real Illuminati. With a mighty voice he shouted, fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every unclean and detestable animal. For all the nations have drunk the maddening wine of her adulteries. The kings of the earth committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich from the excessive luxuries. When I heard another voice from heaven say, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues, for her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her crimes. Give back to her as she has given. Pay her back double for what she has done. Pour her a double portion from her own cup. Give her as much torment and grief as the glory and luxury she gave herself. In her heart she boasts, I sit enthroned as queen. I am not a widow. I will never mourn. Therefore, in one day, her plagues will overtake her. Death, mourning, and famine. She will be consumed by fire. For mighty is the Lord God who judges her. Continue. When the kings of the earth who committed adultery with her and shared her luxury see the smoke of her burning, they will weep and mourn over her, terrified at her torment. They will stand off far and cry from their spacecraft and underground bases and submarines. Woe, woe to you, great city, you mighty city of Babylon. In 1 hour, your doom has come. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her because no one buys their cargoes anymore. Cargoes of gold, silver, precious stones, and pearls, fine linen, purple silks, and scarlet cloth. Every sort of citron wood, articles of every kind, and even the souls.
Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at InfoWarsStore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water bottle and the RAD Eliminator Pro filtered sports bottle that removes radiation. And keep in mind, we have replacement filters for all of these products. The ever-popular grab-and-go bag favorite, the Life Straw, the Crystal Quest shower filter system, and the Aquapod kit, great for mass storage of water. And while you're at the InfoWars shop, pick up a copy of our latest book, 31 Days to Survival. You can find all this and more at the InfoWarsStore.com. And don't forget, it's your support that funds our operation. Sign up for our free newsletter at InfoWars.com/newsletter.
The goal is to program you from birth and totally use you as a biological meat puppet. But there's 7.5 billion of us. The globalists say life isn't cheap now. We're a negative commodity, garbage to be taken to the curb. That's the view of the elite. Hitler was only a spinoff of the eugenicist, my friends. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. We're here live, back weeknights, 7 o'clock Central. For the rest of the hour, we're going to be joined by a very interesting fellow who I always enjoy getting on. I want to get him on about a host of issues, and I'm going to ask him about all sorts of news and throw wild cards at him. We're going to cover the waterfront of news with him, but first find out what's first and foremost on his radar, because he's a former prosecutor and a really good lawyer, not just a TV host on the news in New York and a syndicated radio host. I was reading out of Revelation 18, whether you see it as a warning about corrupt civilizations or whether you see it as prophecy, regardless, it certainly fits with our day. And it says that the merchants of the earth trafficked in slaves and the souls of men. That's Revelation 18:13, King James Version. It says the same in the Greek out of the Hebrew and the Aramaic. So that's what we're talking about. And at the bottom of this, my faith has become stronger. Not all the fake stuff in the churches, but my personal understanding of good and evil, how real it is. Studying the global engineers, they want your mind from a secular perspective. They really want to control your free will. That's why they tell you you have no free will. And top globalists are all extremely into the occult, folks. And they tell you to be an atheist because they don't want you even thinking about all that going on, because that's the higher things. Whether you think it's a part of your brain that is attracted to that or whatever, brain waves go higher in all the studies when you're in a spiritual situation. You're more creative. You're more giving. They don't want you to be like that. Whether it's really spiritual or part of our physiology, there's no debate. It's there. A God-shaped vacuum, and they don't want you going there because then you're going to worship that, and they can't get you to sell your intellect and your free will to them. They want to control the spark of free intellect. I've gone off on some really heavy topics today. We've got huge Obamacare news, huge news with CPS chopping women over to steal their babies out of their wombs. It's just going to get more insane, folks. This is what happens when governments are out of control. That's Joseph Mengele level stuff. And we've also got huge Al-Qaeda news. We've got huge Snowden news as The Guardian now basically faces criminal prosecution by the criminal British government for exposing the criminal activity of the NSA, which is their duty. I told you they're heroes, folks. And so are we, quite frankly, the whistleblowers we've had on. They're going after him, and The Guardian says, look, we only publish 1%. Oh, yeah, folks. Well, listen, we actually know all about the NSA. I'm trying to explain this to everybody. Because it's an insider, it caught on. They tried to block it. Wayne Madsen had his article removed off The Guardian. We know everything about it. We know everything, okay? It's so big. There's contractors, how it's funded, how it's designed. They had to get the funding in the Telecommunications Act and other acts before that. Daniel Defense, that makes really good semi-auto rifles. I actually own one. That's not really saying much, though. I own a lot of guns, folks. It's like saying Ali Baba had a bunch of women in his harem. The point is, it's not my only love, but a lot of the special forces use them, you name it. They ran a very nice ad of the dad coming home to Mayberry, USA, going in and hugging his wife and saying, I have a right to defend my family. Daniel Defense. And they banned it. They said it's offensive. But you can have shoot-'em-up video games, all that, because it's simulated. You're living in fantasy land. That's what they want. You can have military ads, whatever you want. You do not show a father coming home, walking in the house with images of his children and him in his Marine Corps uniform being pro-Second Amendment. The image of the Marines cannot be used to promote the Bill of Rights. It can only be used to promote the globalist empire. And this is offensive because anything wholesome is offensive. Absolutely amazing. And I am calling for a boycott. This is like saying leave it to Beaver is offensive. But it is offensive. They're busy overturning our culture, bringing in tyranny. They want us totally screwed up. Here's another one. Oregon girl barred from selling mistletoe, but told it's okay to beg. WRIC television. ABC News is reporting that her dad didn't have money to get her braces, so she did what any terrorist would do. She went and cut a bunch of mistletoe, thinking I could go to the local, city area where they're having a Christmas fair, and I could walk around selling my wares like people have done for 10,000 years in city markets. And they said, we'll arrest you if you do that anymore, just like they've cracked down on the lemonade stands. The last thing a kid needs to learn is you can do something without the government saying you can here in North Korea. I meant land of the free, home of the brave. You're meant to go work at a box store for minimum wage and be a slave and take your vaccines and die early. Again, lawmaker says Amazon drone could photograph your home. That's the real reason for the drone rollout, claiming it's package delivery. That's now come out in Congress. Shifting gears, Guardian, we have published 1% of the Snowden leak. Breitbart is reporting that from AP. It's up on drudgereport.com as the top story there. It's also on Infowars.com right now, and it is just outrageous that they're trying to criminally prosecute now and are doing a criminal investigation of The Guardian for exposing illegal spying by the U.S. and British government. It'd be like if they caught the president snorting cocaine off of the back of a hooker like his predecessor, Bill Clinton, liked to do, and then if someone reported on that, arresting them for reporting the crime. But this is a crime, not a sexual crime against society, as they say it, but a much higher crime of violating all of our rights, not to keep us safe. They run the terrorist. So there you go. The Guardian should have released it all. But now they're going to go after him and persecute the press. And the press, of course, is rolling over, groveling to watching another quasi-decent organization being torn apart. Just like News Corp. I don't like a lot of the stuff News Corp does. They've attacked me many times. But they're clearly going after News Corp for spying on other people, which is what the press does. While the government spies times a million, and the government ships guns into Mexico, and the government's involved funding Al-Qaeda, and the government's involved putting our military under NATO, and the government's shutting off our coal power plants and jacking up our prices. Meanwhile, that very same Justice Department that says they're, quote, brainwashing people against guns is now threatening and blackmailing News Corp. And I told you this 2 years ago from my inside sources. It broke last month that News Corp has been threatened, Rupert Murdoch, with arrest if he criticizes Obama. And that's why you see so much groveling, not just on Fox News, but on News Corp properties, movies, sitcoms, dramas. It's almost all pro-Obama. The Fox-run NFL and the Super Bowl has refused the ad that we just... In fact, I got to play the ad one more time. I've got to play the ad. This is the ad. If you're a radio listener, I'm going to narrate it, but the ad's up on Infowars.com. Adon Salazar has written an article about it, dealing with my call to boycott the NFL. But here's some of the other headlines. Half of Americans want Obamacare scrapped. 81% want law changed as more White House lies are exposed. I mean, Steve writes these articles off mainline polls. I've seen polls of 90+% against Obamacare. But it doesn't matter. It's unconstitutional. I don't care what the Supreme Court says. You can have a private tax to foreign banks. TSA expands searches of parked cars at airports. Yeah, they actually go into the airports now and break in your cars and screw them up with those Slim Jims. TSA claim debunked. Photo proof agency searches cars. Kurt Nimmo has a... Yeah, that's right. They denied they do that. Even though at the Austin Bergstrom for years, they put a note in your car, they searched it. So that's just some of the news up on Infowars.com right now. And Adon's article, I guess, is going up any minute with this NFL piece where I call for the boycott of the NFL for what they're doing. But this is Fox, and this is the NFL. Daniels Defense recently submitted a commercial to Fox to be played during the 2014 NFL Super Bowl. XLV111. Though the video doesn't showcase one of the company's popular DD-M4 rifles, the paid advertisement spot was rejected by the NFL as being offensive. And the NFL said it's in prohibited advertising categories. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my gosh, that is so evil. Can you imagine in America? You think you can air that on television? That is offensive. And, you know, they say I'm offensive, too, and they say you're offensive. And, you know, they've had on national television different so-called liberal journalists calling me a diehard, you know, nut. Diehard, you know, hard to kill, won't give up, won't give in to change, even though it's obvious. That's the definition. Oh, it's obvious that I'm going to just give in to classical evil that every culture listed as bad? There's not one culture that ever said what the system's doing is good. It is prima facie, on its face, 100% bad news. And we're supposed to just grovel to the entire thing. Amazing. And they don't want you to recognize there's a war against the individual or the family, or that you're under attack, or that there's groups with agendas to run your life. Of course there are. They say that's a conspiracy when that's historical fact and going on now. And you can't demonstrate in most areas of the country. The police will beat your head in because they're ordered to. Oh, we're so free. You can't have lemonade stands and all this crud. Stand up against it. It's your duty to say no. It's your duty to start saying no to this system. Because we're in great danger, folks, when you lay down to this. That's what you should be afraid of. Laying down makes it get worse. Laying down is what makes you a slave. Laying down is what makes you easy to run over. I'm not here to scare you, folks. It's already happening. I'm telling you about a forest fire that's coming through the woods towards your cabin. I'm telling you about a tsunami that's coming in 10 minutes. I'm telling you about history. We're under attack now, and you haven't seen anything yet. I'm desperate. We're going under authoritarian engineering towards a nightmare planetary government whose open endgame is absolute scientific dissection of the human spirit. Merciless control freaks dedicated to destroying free will. I mean, how could anyone be scared of fighting the New World Order? I don't want to die, but I have no fear. No fear. I don't even have fear of them doing something to my kids, even though I love them more than life itself. Because they don't have a future if we don't beat this anyways. It's all going down if we don't beat them. You got to be all in. You got to double down against the adversity. I walked in at 6 a.m. this morning because my kids, my youngest daughter, 5 years old, has a cold. And she'd climbed in bed with my wife, and I didn't want to get it, so I went and slept in the guest bedroom. And I walked in, and the French bulldog, they were all in the king-size bed over on one side. Like, almost the whole bed was open. It was my wife asleep with my daughter holding her like a barnacle, clutching her, with the French bulldog up against my daughter with a cheek up against her, all three of them snoring. And they looked so cute, and I looked at that, and that was literally heaven right there. Happy, snuggly, good little sweet creatures being protected and happy. And knowing that I'll do whatever it takes to try to give them a future. That's living. That's being a man.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
I want to play this special report that John Bound put together for today's radio show. It'll also air on the Nightly News tonight. Kids arrested waiting for school bus. This is something that came out yesterday I didn't get to, and it is a case of waiting for the bus while black. But I've got to tell you, it's like this pretty much anywhere now, where if you're standing somewhere, the police will pull up. Doesn't matter if you're black, white. I've had this happen to me many times. I lived in North Austin in a decent neighborhood, but I'd walk to the convenience store 200 yards away, and I had cops like, give us your ID. And I'd be like, do I look like somebody you're looking for? Hey, man, I said, give it to me. And I'd be like, well, I don't have it. I just went over here to get a Gatorade and an ice cream or whatever. That was back when I was single. And they'd just flip out on me. And it's just this randomness. And it was like, even after the police were told, hey, we're waiting to go to a basketball game. This is a sponsored school event. They didn't care. It's like, you're going to go to jail. And that's the thing about the system, is that this morning I was out hiking with a friend, and I really had to urinate in the middle of the woods. And he's like, why don't you just go right here on the side of the path? And I was there with a friend jogging and hiking. And I went, man, they will charge you with sexual indecency even if someone can't see you in the woods. The police pull over and pee in the woods, but they will arrest you. I saw some number where like a third of the sex offenders are people that got caught peeing in their backyard or peeing in the woods. And of course, everybody does it. I remember I was up in Canada at Bilderberg. There was nowhere to use the bathroom because the hotel was like in the middle of the countryside. And so everyone was peeing in the woods. Now, I saw the police in England peeing in the woods, and they saw us peeing in the woods and didn't charge us. Because even though they're a nanny state, they're not going to arrest you for peeing in the woods. But I'm telling you, the Canadian police told us, yeah, if we see you peeing, we're going to charge you with sexual indecency. I go, but I've seen you over there peeing. They go, doesn't matter. I don't know why I've gone off into this talk. It's just that they want you in the system, folks. So I literally went back in the woods like 100 yards and looked all around to pee in the woods. That's how evil this country is, folks. They want you in the system, and they want you in the system now. Okay? Period. It's predatory. They will cut your body open and take your baby a month early because they want to adopt it out or put it on a bunch of drugs. If they put you on SSRIs and you have a panic attack, you're going to take your kids. The system is predatory. You build a big system, you let people get into it, they will turn the system into a criminal operation. That's now happened. The government has a 6% approval rating. It's rogue, it's illegitimate, and it's run by offshore corporations. There is no debating it. Think of how they've taught the public that tyranny doesn't exist and there's no corruption in government. And if you say we should watch government, you're a conspiracy theorist. I mean, on its face, folks, the Army trained soldiers that George Washington's bad. That's like a movie where the country's captured and your American president's a pig and freedom is bad. Hail Stalin. I mean, that is directly out of Red Dawn. Let's go to John Bound's report as we go to break.
Stasi techniques are being utilized by police on the streets of Rochester, New York. Close to a dozen Edison Tech High School students were instructed by their basketball coach to wait for the bus in downtown Rochester. What began as an everyday occurrence in the United States ended in tyranny. As the students waited to be shuttled to their basketball scrimmage, a Rochester police officer commanded them to disperse. In vain, The students explained they were waiting for the bus.
We tried to tell him that we was waiting for the bus, but we wasn't catching the city bus, we was catching the yellow bus. And he didn't care. He arrested us anyways.
Where are the rights of natural-born citizens in Rochester, New York?
You're under arrest. I already warned you.
I'm going to back up.
You know what? You're going to go to jail. That's just not right.
They appear to be firmly under the boot of an autocratic group of thugs.
And the cop attacks him.
I understand you, and I'm standing in my house. I'm filming an accident that has occurred.
I need you to go
Could
inside.
you please go back?
Sir, I have wires hanging here. I need you to go
inside my house.
Sir, go inside and close the door.
The acceleration of the police state grows like a treasonous cancer from Boston to Dallas to Rochester.
It's a catastrophe. I mean, these young men were doing nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And still and yet, they get arrested.
The students were able to make it home for Thanksgiving after their families posted $200 bail and now await a December 11th court date where they hope the charges will be dropped. John Baum for InfoWars Nightly News.
That's right. You don't assemble, folks. Not in America. You pay your money to the foreign banks, you take your shots, you drink your fluoride, and you get ready to die. Briefly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do this on television right now for folks that are watching it. No, I'll do it tomorrow because I got Dr. Group coming in. But the point is that you take this iodine, and according to the medical and scientific research I've looked into myself, confirming what Dr. Group and others said, if it's true free-form iodine, when you put it on white paper, it should turn purple, ultraviolet blue. And if you do that with our nascent iodine, that's what it does. It goes from the yellow to the blue. And it's simply amazing. In a minute, it's going to turn blue. You're watching on television. Now, you take every other so-called nascent iodine out there and you do it, and it turns red and then total black. It's oxidized in the alcohol. And we're looking at what that is, and we're doing tests. It looks like the iodine's actually breaking down into something else, derivatives of it. Whatever. The point is, that's why this is so special. Look at that. It's turning bright purple. I don't know if the camera or folks watching on the internet could see that. We're going to shoot a high-def video of this today. And I was looking at this, doing research, and finding these old tests they used to do to see if something was really nascent or free form and see how it's purple. It's having the reaction. That's why our iodine is clear versus the iodine that's like black, because it's had some chemical reaction. And again, we're having it tested right now. But InfoWarsLife.com, and I'm not even differentiating our iodine versus others. You need iodine, period, whether it's in kelp or the different gourmet sea salts, whatever. But then it's still somewhat bound, but your body can break it down. The word for the medical doctors and nutritionists I've talked to is this nascent form, if it's truly nascent, where it's free form, it just goes right into your body and just attaches to fluoride. Everything else is such a detoxifier. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we're so deficient in this, I call it the iodine conspiracy, and that video is on InfoWarsLife.com if you want to watch us break it down and show the medical reports and the studies and the details that have been put out on this subject by even mainline universities. So InfoWarsLife.com, or call toll-free to get the what I believe is the best nascent iodine out there. 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. Also, we have the second line of InfoWars Life products. That is Chiapan, Southern Mexico, high mountain shade-grown Arabica beans that I believe, from what I've tasted, is the best coffee in the world. 2 years trying to get a good supplier of this, and it's now available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. We also have the immune support medium roast that has these special type of mushrooms infused in it that are known to increase immunity. That is so important right now with all the stuff that's going on.